It's good to see you, man. Live and in color, finally.
I know. It's good to finally see you too. And how are things going? How's everything?
Oh my God, I can't complain, man. Busy, but good busy, man. Being back in Syracuse for a little while, man. But everything is good. You know, Big A88 Joggers is always thriving.
Yeah.
The community is constantly growing, man. So I can't complain. Family is in good health, so I can't complain one bit, brother.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to have you here and let everybody know where you're coming from, because you came a distance.
I did. Los Angeles native, man. 3,000 miles to be exact.
Awesome.
So I come back to the Cuse, and that's the only time I would travel 3,000 miles. My wife, she gets on me all the time because she asked me to come to Boston, but I'm like, nope. Syracuse is where it's at.
No, I feel it. And so coming from the West Coast to the East Coast, taking a big hike to come here and do this show, as well as go and speak at Syracuse and be there for the Clemson at Syracuse game. You got a jam-packed schedule, a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, a lot of stuff going on. You know, of course. Luckily, you know, I was able to get back to Syracuse and speak at the sports management department for Falk, and man, that was every bit of humbling and a full circle moment for me. Just getting back and shedding light on how I've been able to grow certain ventures, entrepreneurship, being able to grow certain ventures in business, and just giving back to those students, man. I wish I had that same amount of guidance, but it was great getting back to do it, man. I mean, and speaking is something that I love to do, so it was good to get back to show them.
Yeah, you know, and what was the message with you at Syracuse this time around?
You know, with me, it's always about positivity.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, I'm always trying to understand purpose and intent, right?
Yeah.
What is your purpose, but how are you doing things intentional to really live out your purpose? And, you know, the message was reach out and use me as guidance. Reach out and use me as a resource. You know, pick my brain, someone that is a part of Syracuse that bleed orange day in and day out. Pick my brain to understand how do you get to that next level. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of turmoil, but let me help you make sure you can sustain through the tough times, and then you also have me in your back pocket to really rely on. So that's what the real message was around, man, and just being authentic and who you are, brother, and that's it. That's it.
You know, and that message, where does this all come from? Where does it start for you to want to spread positivity? I mean, some people, when they're gaining and they're going and they're making a life for themselves, it's for themselves. It's not for anybody else. It's about me. Let me get me forward. Let me make me money. So why do you want to help other people?
I think life is about service, right? People is the X factor of life in general. Money is just a tool, right? And I think once we start to put so many limitations on people, we lose sight of just us giving. So for me, I don't want to put any limitations on the give part of it, because that's the majority, right? That's what you should be emphasizing, is giving to others, serving others. The money aspect of it is going to come along later on, but I want to make sure I've always put emphasis on the giving first and making sure I can give my intellect, give my vision. And that comes from my mother, to be honest with you. You know, my mother was always someone that took the back seat and said, hey, let me give. And sometimes, you know what, she'll even explain it like, hey, sometimes it didn't serve me any justice. But I think what it did give her is the ability to be selfless, and that really spilled into her kids, and her children really act in that measure as well. So that comes from that root, man, of just my mother, man. So shout out to Tammy Cole. That's my dog.
Yeah, you know, and Tammy, your mom, what are the greatest things that mom has taught you?
Oh, man, perseverance. I think that's the one thing we need in this life, is perseverance and grit. You know, one thing that's constant is change.
Yeah.
And so she always taught me, like, even though it changes, doesn't mean that it changes you, right? The circumstance may change, but doesn't mean that you change internally. Whatever you are trying to make an impact on, whatever you're driving towards, that should never change. But life does change around you, but still keep your core competencies of life.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's huge, is life is always changing around you, because I think that something I've had to learn, and that I think a lot of people have had to learn, is how do you remain steadfast in your mission, in who you are, in your faith? You know, how do you stay strong in a world that tries its darndest to make you weak? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. But that goes back to my childhood. My childhood, I had to stay strong because it was always against me, right? When we look at this word statistic, right? They throw out this big old word. You don't want to be a statistic when you grow up in the inner city. Well, a lot of the time I was operating in this chaotic environment where that's the world. So for me, like COVID-19 came, everything stopped. And for me, actually, it was somewhat of like, wow, this is life for me. This was life.
Yeah.
I didn't always have the exposure that everybody else had. So I think I was able to now relate those past experiences and stay steadfast to your point of life means so much more than just a small period. And if we look at life at this kind of bigger idea and look at the grand scheme of it and just take these baby steps and get 1% through life every day, then we can open our minds up to have more clarity towards a better day.
Yeah, you know, and I think, and I want to thank everybody for your participation here on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. We've shared it to different places, Syracuse fans all over the world, and of course on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and this will be on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. So be a lot of love here. You see my logo right behind us and my logo on my chest. You got Big Ass Jogger here as well.
You see it.
And you got the Wildcat. So many great things. I mean, I titled this that we're talking on faith, Syracuse, entrepreneurship, you know, this team, your history. There's so many topics to discuss.
Yep.
You know, and I think we're doing something on this stage that was never done as well as it is right now, and not even as well as Tupac and Biggie, which is East Coast, West Coast. So
I'm Tupac for sure. I might be bigger in stature, but I'm Tupac.
Yeah, you know, some Californication over here.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, a 1/32 of Biggie. You know what I mean? You know, but I tell people, I said, if you ever want to imitate Biggie, I said you can't rap to Biggie. You can't say B-I-G-P-O-P-P-A. You have to get the nasal. You have to speak through your nose and get congested. B-I-G-P-O-P-P-A.
Okay, I see it.
Gotta get it like that. Oh. So I also say that Rick Ross is really trying to be Biggie because in the beginning you just hear this.
That is the argument. That is the argument that Rick Ross, man, he's trying to bring big and sexy back. Back when I was 340, listen, when Rick Ross was coming out, man, and I was 340 pounds playing O-lineman here, I promise you, Rick Ross was my idol. Anybody that can take his shirt off that big and be confident, that's who I wanted to mimic.
Yeah, you know, and I'll never forget that, you know, and I have to blank out parts of this thing, but my buddy Evan is of the Jewish faith.
Yep.
And so there's always that, you know, what do you say? Only blank in the sauna with, you know what I mean? And so like there's that, and that's what I picture when you say that.
Yep.
No shirt on, Rick Ross doing his thing.
Nothing.
But I always wonder, like, is he trying to be like Biggie, or Biggie and him were just trying to breathe because they're so big? Is that what the is?
I think it's a breathing thing that became an ad lib. You know? It's a lot of things. It's a lot of times when I used to get up and I used to and that could have been an ad lib too, right? So I think we just trying to get up out of our seat, man, because it's a lot of it's a lot to hold down there, man.
Can I tell you my favorite Wayne line? And I don't.
Oh, you're a Wayne guy.
I don't know why. This is I'm a Drake guy. And,
okay.
You know, so I like so many. I mean, I listen to Kendrick Lamar, I listen to Biggie, listen to Tupac. I mean, there's a lot of
Kendrick for sure.
You know, and so Kendrick's insane because he's just
Kendrick
like he's going, and then all of a sudden it's and it just keeps going like faster.
Kendrick is a monster.
So you know, Kendrick, and sometimes he sounds to me like old Kanye, but like new Kanye, I'm like, I can't get with new Kanye.
Well, new Kanye is a little bit more spiritual. I think new Kanye.
I like that about him.
And that's great too. But what I'm saying is that if you are a purist of rap music, and you want old Kanye for the purity of his rap, of you know when Jesus Walks and when he was back then really really rapping, I think that's when you love the old Kanye. I think the newer Kanye is he's spiritual, but he's a lot more exposed to different things, where the purity of his rap music before, I think it's just transition because he has a different stage of his life. But Kanye, still, I go back, he's a monster, man. He's a monster.
Pre-Kardashian Kanye was my favorite. That was my... You can't. When they said they were getting divorced, I'm like, oh, his music gonna be good again. So that's all I could think about.
I think that's everybody's, man. That's so crazy because I think the world is literally rooting for a divorce, which should never happen, but they're just rooting for it because
when it comes to the Kardashians, yeah.
Well, they just want his music to be good again. So, and then they're like, well, I think that the Kardashians didn't give you the ability to really give us the old Kanye, so now I'm rooting for your divorce. But I'm like, as a married man, I'm like, damn, man, how does she feel on the other end of the spectrum, knowing that everybody's just praying on her to be eliminated so he can bring back a good hit?
Well, I think the thing is, it's just that family is just, I have a lot of thoughts. I just have a lot of thoughts when it comes to Kardashians. But my favorite Wayne line, and I have to do it, and if you listen to old Wayne, he was more, he sounded more like kid-like he was a little more nasally.
Yeah. Oh, a lot. Yeah. Absolutely.
And he wasn't slowed down by the purple drank yet.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't like this. You know what I mean? So if you listen back to it, you're like, oh wow, this doesn't even sound like
this guy is an imitator over here, man. This man got the Wayne, the Drake voice, and the Rick Ross voice. Come on, man.
Jizzy voice. But no, but the Wayne, my favorite line, and I'll do it randomly, and people that know me know this, is I walk light so I don't piss the ground off.
This certified lover boy right here, man.
I love that. But no, 7 a.m. on Bridal Path is my favorite from Drake's Certified Lover Boy.
Oh my gosh.
And I found there's a Bridal Path on the way to Manlius. So I can literally go there at 7 a.m. and listen to that song.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to show me where that's at, man.
Yeah, Bridal Path, man. It's right by with the Carvel duet that I partner with.
Really?
Yeah. So, go Squad. Yeah, let's just listen. I don't know. I think it was the first song I listened to on Certified Lover Boy was 7 a.m. on Bridal Path. So that became the one for me. And then We Only Live Twice. And I like that.
Yep.
And then I would say I like the Remorse. I don't hear a lot of people talk about that one, but Remorse, I like that one.
Yep.
That one's good.
You know what's so weird about that album? Once we had Drake, so first we had Drake. Well, Drake album was after J. Cole's. Mm-hmm. But then, who album just released recently, and it's like everyone forgot about it. And I'm trying to remember who album.
Kanye's Donda came out.
Kanye came out. No, that's what it was. Kanye came out, and then everyone forgot about Donda.
Yeah.
And then Drake was like, yep, it's just Certified Lover Boy. And then it's just like, wow. And it was just insane, man.
And that's all it is now. It's certified. I listen to it daily.
Okay.
So, because I was waiting, and my best friend, Evan Rosenthal, shout out to Ev.
All right.
Ev and I were talking about, he just, thankfully, I said something to him, and he was like, yeah, man, it's coming out a couple days. So I was waiting, and then it dropped, and I started listening to it. Now, he has to, sit in a room in total silence, like a padded room, nobody in or out of the building, and he's got to listen to the whole thing from start to finish. I started on 7 a.m. on Bridal Path that I bounced around.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even listened to We Only Live Twice, but Love All with Jay-Z, that one's good. But the ones that people really, really like Too Sexy or Way Too Sexy and Girls Want Girls, those aren't my two favorites.
No. Well, those are club hits. Yeah. Those are not actual, like I said, you go back to rap purity. People that understand lyrics, that want to know punchlines, that want to see what a double entendre is, want to understand all those different formats of rap, I think they more so venture off to the songs that display that. Yeah. They're never going to go towards the songs that don't display it. I'm Too Sexy. I think I could have made that. Yeah. We could have both made it, right? We're both too sexy. So we could have both made it, but I think it's just about the rap of it all, man. That's why you more so digress to the others, man.
Yeah, and I just, there's something about, I don't know how you are, but I got to pregame. When I'm in the car all the time, because as you know, we talked about it off the air.
For sure.
I'm always going. You're always going.
Oh, 100%.
So to me, it's I love Dave Chappelle. So when I'm watching, I'm always getting ready for when Chappelle has a Netflix special. That's like me. Everywhere I go, to me in my head, it's a Netflix special.
Oh, 100%.
I'm about to get it. I'm about to get on stage.
100%.
So when I'm in the car, as soon as I get the itch. As soon as I'm in the car, the music's on, and what am I listening to? Because those tracks have to hype me.
100%.
And it's my hype music before I go on stage.
100%.
Wherever I go.
Yeah.
And I already know that when I do my comedy at the Dome, someday and sell that thing out.
Okay.
I'm coming out to Put On by Young Jeezy.
That's what you're coming out to?
Yeah. So if he'll let me.
All right, so if you had your top 3 songs that could identify your life and like it represented you, past, present, and even future, let's just say, what would be those top 3 songs that all like they know that's Dan when he step into a room?
Oh man, it's tough. More Money, More Problems, because I listened to that thing till it was broken.
That's okay.
So, I mean, but to describe me, I can't say that. So I would say,
just a theme. It could be a theme song.
I would say Thank You or All Around the World, the first 2 tracks on Boys to Men 2. So I would say those would describe me because I am very thankful, very humble, no ego. And then All Around the World, that's it's the life I'm living. So, you know, so I would say those. I would say, I know it gets played a lot, but Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
Oh yeah, that's the big one.
And then, so I would say that R&B. I hit some rock there, and then for rap, what would be my hip hop? What would be my hip hop?
You got some good ones there.
It would probably be Can't Nobody Hold Me Down because Mace is my favorite rapper. And that move is smooth as Bugsy. You got to do them shoulders.
You got to do that.
But in elementary school, at the end when we were waiting for the bus, they would literally have a karaoke machine, and the teacher would go, gather around class, and she put everybody around me.
Oh man!
And we turn on the system.
Yeah.
And I would just take the mic and I'd wait for it, and they would all wait for me to do the move as smooth as Bugsy, and then we would get on the bus, and that's it. I'd just do a little bit of shoulder. That's all they needed.
Hey, you got some swag to you now, man. You're a little swaggy, man. You got it.
Be at the bar with too much bubbly. I remember. Oh man!
Damn.
If somebody starts me on a lyric, I'm gonna finish that.
Really?
Yeah, my grandmother said to me in the car one time, she goes, how do you know every song on the radio? I said, I don't, it just goes, like when and I'll make myself learn it. Like Macklemore's, what's the, Can't Hold Us? That song by Macklemore, I laid in bed and made myself learn it till I knew it.
Oh, for real? Wow.
So, but then like other songs I'll just pick up, but my favorite, so the first verse that I learned by Drake was from I'm Going In with him, T.I. and Wayne.
God. That was a classic.
Yeah. First off, you know what it is.
I'm going in.
Yeah, I love it.
And I'm going to go hard.
First off, you know what it is if you heard Drake. But one of my favorite lines from Drake, he's a Raptors fan, and obviously I am.
Yep.
And I love Canada. He's from Canada. Both October babies.
Yeah.
So October's very own. When I wear that, means more to me.
Okay.
So you put all of that in, and then you have the I Invented Sex song by Trey Songz.
I was about to...
Where he says, it's a celebration, clap, clap, bravo, lobster and shrimp and a glass of Moscato. And I like all that stuff. And I always get knocked for liking Moscato. So I'm like, we like Moscato, seafood, October, Raptors. Why aren't we friends at this point?
I was about to say.
Where's Drake at?
Hey, Drake, man, listen, you got a fan right here, man, on all your music, man. Me personally, I'm a Successful fan. The song Successful?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I just want to be, yeah.
Oh, my goodness, man. So, hey, Drake, listen in, tap in, man. My guy got you down packed, man. Y'all got so much synergy that y'all don't even know, brother.
I feel like him and I next to each other at a Raptors game, we would become fast friends because he would get it, I'd get it. You know, we'd be sitting there talking, giving some, you know, being more coach on the sideline there.
Yep.
Kind of letting them know where they need to go and what's going on and whatnot. But no, I think Drake and I could hang. I went to his restaurant, Frings, before it closed in Toronto.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So it looked like a music video when you walked in. It was blue. There was these giant bear fur chairs, and it was crazy. Food was pretty good too.
That man is a staple in Toronto, man. I mean, anybody that can literally walk in, dap up the head coach, the owners, everyone. I mean, he is definitely well connected. He's done a lot for that city, man. So, wow, shout out to Toronto, man. I got to get out there. I've been to Montreal.
Okay.
I haven't been to Toronto yet, so I got to get out to Toronto.
And my man Bieber knows what he's doing too because he came out with that song where he said, got that ring just like Toronto. So he threw that out there, too.
You know what's funny? Because all these guys, obviously I live in Los Angeles, and we see this daily. you know, it's funny. We see the life of a rapper. We see the life of entertainers because it's such a hub, man. So seeing those guys on a daily basis, like just going to the store randomly, it's just kind of real. It's surreal, man. So, yeah, you got to get out to Cali, man.
Yeah, I know, man. And now you got me thinking about Chappelle, because now,
oh my goodness,
you know, I mean, Chappelle. I'm gonna take a caramel Kevin Hart. I don't want to. I think that's my favorite nickname.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Ain't nothing wrong with. They always say the funniest ones in the room, man, can last the longest conversations. So I love, man. I love that you can get around it. I got a buddy of mine. Funny is all out, man. Probably by far the top 10 funniest, probably top 5 funniest person I've ever seen. For me personally, I'm like, my humor is different. But to go back to your point, Chappelle, man, would be definitely someone. I mean, I watched his special and I was blown back by it, man. I was blown away by it, just how he's able to articulate and have underlining messages. But it's constructed in a way where it's structured still, and he's having a conversation, but he's really doing comedy. How do you even do that?
Well, no, the way that my mind is telling me no, you know, and he started with that.
Gosh,
you know,
man.
and threw that out there. So there's a lot of good that can come from this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And he, you know, he definitely brings a lot to the table. So I could appreciate and respect what he's doing. And
oh, yeah, for sure, man.
You know, and what he brings to it. So as you can see here, as we're bringing you back on Facebook, we're here on YouTube, but I'm showing my logo, my son coming up, rising out of the coffee cup. Talk a little bit about Big A88 Jogger, Big Ass Jogger. Let everybody know about it.
Oh, my goodness. So Big Ass Jogger actually started during the pandemic. And a funny story is it started off as a joke on Instagram. I was shouting out, literally I was 3'10" at the time, and I was shouting out, I'm only going to run with big ass joggers. And people took it so literal because they thought I was talking about stature. And there was an underlying message there where I just wanted people to be their biggest selves at whatever they're doing. During a time of uncertainty, during a time of everyone panicking, don't know the shift of the world, don't know exactly where we're going, you know, I just needed that light, and I needed to shine that light on something. And social media was the perfect place to impact those individuals because they were on their phones every day. Yeah. And after that, man, I was getting a lot of encouragement, and I'll be remiss not to mention all the people that supported me during that process, you know, from my brother to my nephew to my wife to friends, family. I launched a clothing brand and you'll see me wearing one of the hoodies right now, but we got an apparel company, and it took off. I literally did my research, looked at the market in which, you know, how was all the other apparel companies, how was the jogging apparel companies, and how do we make this a little bit more kid-friendly in a sense where it's a community, it's an all-inclusive type deal. And we launched July 23rd of 2020, and we took off, man. We launched the apparel. Big Ass Jogger, the actual movement was beforehand, but we launched the apparel in July. And, man, ever since then, it kind of took off like a rocket ship. We sold out of all of our things the first week, had to restock. And so going through sourcing and understanding material and all those things, man, it can become hectic. But, yeah, we took off like a rocket ship. And now we're here and we're making waves, man. And it's parlayed into so much. So shout out to everybody that support the Big Ass Jogger, the Big A88 Jogger community. 88 is actually my angel number, so it means abundance and protection. So that's why I got the 88 for replacing the S's. So yeah, man, it's huge.
Yeah, you know, and it's awesome to, you know, see what this came out of. You know what I mean? And and to see, you know, what we put into what we do.
100%. 100%.
You know, and I think not everything is foolproof. You know, the many avenues that you try to go, and I talked today about ad-libbing, you know, when things don't work, when technology gives you trouble, when you know, you're trying to get shirts made and maybe, well, like now with everything going on with the crisis of getting materials and stuff, like there's so many things that can stop you, halt you, make you give up, frustrate you. But all I know is when you're trying to get a message across and you're doing it with God, and you're doing it for the good of people, and you're doing it to help people, that somehow, some way, it's going to come through.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But that's what goes back to our earlier conversation, man, about service. Like, you know, why do you do things, man? You know, some people, they just want to do things to have an ego and feel that, and which is fine. Listen, if that's your prerogative, I'm in no way there to judge you or to tell you that you should do it that way. For me, I chose to be of service. I chose to be of giving to others and showing that through my challenging times of life, I want to share those insights and I want to give those experiences, but I also want to help guide and direct you. Do I know it all? Absolutely not, but I think the wisdom that I've been able to just acquire, wisdom helps you be strategic, and it helps you be strategic towards directing others to be strategic as well. And I take wisdom from others that are, come before me, but I also try to pass that down to people that are coming after me. So it's just a domino effect, man, and I just want to be that one domino that stick in the middle, like that spinner, like the big six. You know what I mean? I want to be the big six where everybody's starting, we play around it, man. So that's just kind of how I look at my life. So as an analogy, that was actually, that's what I'm going to go off of now.
Yeah, I like that. And, I mean, to me, it's, you put so much work in, and sometimes you have no idea, is anybody seeing it? Does anybody appreciate it?
100%.
Am I affecting positive change?
100%.
Is it just me?
100%.
And, I think I had one of those moments yesterday where I was like, all this work that I put in, everything that I push for, everything that I desire and that I've worked hard for, you sit down with somebody and you have somebody tell you, I was speaking with the ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, and Jim and I were talking, and we ended the interview, and he looked at me and he was like, do you have a card? He wants to keep in touch. And I was like, yeah, give him my card. And he said to me, this was a breath of fresh air for me.
Oh, 100%.
And he was like, I don't get asked the questions that you asked me. Everybody asks me the same stuff. He's like, this is a breath of fresh air. And I said, well, I've respected you from afar. It's good to talk to you. And he looked at me and he said, well, the feeling's mutual.
100%.
And it's moments like that where you stop, or you're preceded by, Amy Yacola of the ACC. She introduced me to Jim as, Dan is a man of faith like you.
Sure, absolutely.
And I was like, I'm looking up at God going, if that's the thing that people connect me with, oh, you'll like Dan, he's a man of faith. Oh, you'll like Dan, he believes in God. Oh, you'll like Dan, he thinks there's something bigger than him. There's something more. I'll take that any day. And I really had one of those moments yesterday standing outside talking to my mom saying, I've done this for so long wondering, does anybody appreciate it, respect it, know it? And then you get these responses from people, and it just makes you stop and say, wow, someone's hearing this cry out in the night.
Yes.
And when you're trying to spread that light and hoping to God somebody sees your lighthouse, you know what I mean? That somebody's like, oh yeah, you know what? I came on shore because I saw it. And you put that thing out for 18 years, 15 years, 10 years, whatever, and you throw that light out there. When somebody brings their boat in and says, I saw your lighthouse, you're just like, you're kind of like grizzled and you're bearded and, unkempt, and you're thinking like nobody's seeing this light, and then somebody says they see it, and it just kind of moves you,
Well, but I think that's the biggest thing, man. You just hit the nail on the head. It's that faith, but also, too, understanding, the impact that you are trying to make on a daily basis. I think some people, we worry about income more than we worry about impact. And, and I think there's a direct correlation when you do have faith and you understand what you're actually doing it for, man. And yeah, you may not see it initially. And what I've noticed too about people in itself is they're very nervous, or it's very submitting. They have to submit their agenda to be vulnerable, in a sense, to tell you that you are doing something to impact their lives. They're not going to come out directly and say, hey, Dan or Lou, man, you guys are doing everything that I've ever dreamed of and more to help me, throughout these difficult times. It's more so trying to fish for it, right? And now we both don't go and fish for it, right? We let it be authentic. But I think at that point, you just have to understand in your mind and believe in that process of the work that you're putting in daily. It's being reciprocated by people being impacted by the work that's being put in. And I think the reciprocation comes from just that one person. My thing is, I want one person a day to tell me exactly that they've been impacted by something. That's all you need. And I speak to 100 people daily. I speak to 1,000 people daily. But if it's that one person that tells me, hey, Lou, you're doing a hell of a job. You know, you're doing something that's really going to help me in my life. You're really going to help me thrive. I love your mindset. That's enough for me. That's enough for me. And I think we have to always go to sleep at night knowing the next morning we wake up and we put that work in. It's for those individuals, that one person. 1% better every single day, 1% of a person every single day. And if we continue to do that, I believe in compound interest. Now we're going to compound to years, and we build a groundswell where people now believe that we are the individual that they need to go to, or we are the person that they need to go to for that inspiration, cultivation, motivation on a daily basis, man.
Yeah, you know, and I think you see that. You know, you see somebody come back to you, and they're a total stranger a year or two ago.
Hell yeah.
I know one of my, listeners and viewers, Greg, who I didn't know Greg at all, and he's from like the Southern Tier area, and actually went to the same school at Union Endicott. That we had the Jones brothers come from, Chandler and Arthur and Bones, and so he kind of connected with me on social media, on Facebook.
Sure.
And then he joined my fantasy football league. He's been in it for a couple years, and he listens, he watches every day, usually comments every day, and we were total strangers, but he's like a devout person that's connected to that all the time, connected to the message, connected to what we're trying to do, connected to, my vision and my mission, and knowing that I'm working to motivate, I'm working to help, I'm working to change things for the better. And so you see that, like, I would never know the Gregs of the world if not for those moments. And you kind of just, it renders you speechless to put in all this work for years and years and years and years and years, and then out of nowhere somebody just comes up to you and says, like, hey, I spoke to Cindy about what you do for a living, and I got to tell you, I checked out your stuff, and I don't think there's anybody better. Like, there's something about those moments.
It hits there.
It does, like, I interviewed Michelle Harrison, one of my favorite people in the world of, TV and movies, because The Flash is my favorite DC character.
Oh, wow.
And on the DC show, The Flash, on CW, she's Flash's mom. And so I did a festival a couple years ago, CNY Pop Festival, and I asked her to come in, flew her in from British Columbia. And so she comes in, she does the show, we're talking on stage like this. And I had a panel, and I just was talking to her about different things, and she looked at me and she goes, you have to be one of the top 2 best interviews I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, at this point, she had done like 70 some odd movies. She's a singer. And she said, you know what you're doing. You listen. You make us feel comfortable. She said, you can just tell that you're good at what you do, and we feel that. And she literally said to me, this is one of my most favorite interviews I've ever done. And you're easily like one of the top 2 people I've ever talked to as far as how you handle yourself. And I remember looking at her, feeling like a puddle, just gonna slide out of my chair, and I'm thinking, this woman's the mother of the Flash.
Yeah.
And she's telling me that she enjoyed the interview, and it sticks out to her over decades of time. Like that to me just really threw me. But it's those moments where you have to, take a step back and say, hey, we work so hard and we work so much that you have to take that minute to be like, thanks, God.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for sending me that angel, because, today, of the 18 years I've broadcasted, today from this morning to now, I've had about 572 technical difficulties. and I swear to you that, I want to throw my computer against the wall.
Absolutely.
But I just keep looking up at God going, let this message get through to somebody. Let somebody hear it. Let somebody know it. Let somebody understand that what Big Lou and I are trying to do is so different, because our energy and our desire, I feel that.
Oh, I feel it, man, 100%. I'm sitting here right now, man, and I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps from it, because you talk about that impact, man. You talk about, the mother of Flash coming to you and telling you that you've done something that was profound in that sense. We don't see that, or you don't hear that often, and I think also the authenticity you have that showed her that you know what you're doing, but what was the defining factor? It was that you cared. You cared about the interview. And I think when you care about something, people are going to give you back that feedback. yesterday, prime example, I spoke at Falk yesterday, and I mentioned this earlier. It was Falk, Syracuse's sports management school of sports management. And during that whole entire presentation, you know, you go through your preparation and you go through all the things, you know, from the listener point of view, you go through it from the speaker's point of view, and then you actually deliver the message. And during that message, you know, I had this defining moment where I talked about this stoplight moment of life. And what I mean by this stoplight or crosswalk moment of life is that sometime we're at a crosswalk and we're pushing a button and we're pushing it constantly, and we're waiting for it to change. We're waiting for that sign to tell us walk, right? But during that process, there's 1,000,001 things that are going on around us that we're not paying attention to. And soon as we see that go sign or that walk sign, we miss the walk sign, but we also miss the people that's around us, because then we get a hand that's telling us to speed up and cross the street. So why not stop in life and understand that it's okay to just push the button once and watch everything around you? Watch everything around you that's actually happening. And then when you get the signal to walk, you walk in faith. And I symbol that to faith, man. You walk in that faith, and then you can pay attention to the impact that you have going on around you just by standing at that button. And that's what people are to me. It's that button. I'm not going to push them to the next level. I'm going to push and I'm going to watch what they do, and I'm going to see if they receive that message. And then once I get that constant gradual to come on and go to the next step of my life, now I know exactly how to direct others in the world as well, man. So we got to definitely, you know, look at that aspect of it also. I agree, man. I share that same synergy, brother.
Yeah, you know, I think when you're trying to put something together and you kind of have a vision yourself of it, you know, when people, it's funny, I don't really get asked the question anymore because I think people get to know me, but I used to get where are you going in 10 years? Like, where are you going to be? And I'm the type of human being where I'm thinking, where am I today?
Yeah.
And tomorrow is tomorrow.
Yep.
But I'm always giving all my energy to today.
Yep.
So I'm not focused on what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yep.
And I think it's unfair for me to answer the question of where I'm going to take things because my vision is always evolving.
Yep.
So if I said to you today, like, oh, I want to, you know, have my own network, well, technically we do. I mean, Dan Tortora Broadcast Media has Wake Up Call, has Superpowered Pop, has Dan on Disney, has Comic Book Trails, and they all have legs. There's somebody out there in the world that knows something about each of them. And so to me, it's not so much like, I don't look at what's your 10-year plan. I look at the fact that there's things that I've done for years, and you just work and you 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 work. And then this year I go to the ACC tip-off, and the guy who's one of the camera people, he's sitting there. As soon as I sat down, he goes, I saw somebody's bag front row dead center. I knew it was you. Because he knows I sit in the front. Wow. And he knows I ask questions.
Wow.
And then the moderator knows, like, hey, he's going to be there. And then a guy that I met a couple months ago at the ACC kickoff that brings the mic over, one of the workers there, one of the interns, Matt, he came over to me at the end of the thing, and he goes, I just want you to know, wherever you are that I have a microphone, I'm always going to bring it to you.
Man, crazy moment.
You know.
How did that make you feel in that moment, right?
It made me feel like when people don't get, you know, like, why do you need to talk to every coach? Why do you need to talk? I remember the media and the teleconferences, there's people from multiple states that would make fun of me and then make fun of me and make fun of me. And I'm going, what am I doing?
I know.
Like, I'm legitimately on a 2.5-hour teleconference with 14 coaches. Why am I going to talk to one if I can talk to all 14? So I hit *1 and I wait. Boom, question, boom, question, boom, question. And then I go to the American Athletic, 12 teams, and the Notre Dame, and add that in. And I'm sitting here going, I'm covering 27 schools a week. You're covering one. Why are you mad that I'm covering all these schools? Why is that affecting you in a negative way? But if I didn't do that, then when these coaches went to the kickoff and they heard my name, they wouldn't smile. They wouldn't say, hey, Dan, how you doing? Their SIDs wouldn't know me. Their ADs wouldn't know me. And I built such a strong rapport with people that matter because I work so hard and because I demand so much of myself. But I I don't even want to call them my peers because I feel like it's disrespectful to me, but my peers in the media, they hate it. And I kept saying to my mom and dad, why do they hate me? Why do they hate me? What's their problem? And they're like, you're working harder than they are.
That's it.
They're like, you're doing 27, and they're like, stay in your lane, bro. You don't live in Kentucky, don't do Louisville. You don't live in Connecticut, don't do UConn. You don't live in Massachusetts, don't do BC. You don't have any rights down here in Florida.
I know.
And I'm sitting here going, who am I hurting? What bird am I throwing a stone at by getting on this call? And by the way, if there's 70 of us on this call and 10 of us are asking questions, you don't like that I'm asking questions,
100%.
but then my quotes are showing up in your stories.
Exactly.
So all I have to say to you is, if I ever quit doing my job, who's going to feed you?
Exactly. Because you're feeding them.
Who's feeding your family?
You are. Exactly. And that's why it's needed. That's your intention. That's your intention there, man. That is your intention, man. And that's a full circle moment for you, but also, too, you're able to identify exactly, like, this is why I'm doing it. I can't help that I work harder than you, just like you just mentioned. I get that all the time. I get it all the time. Lou, how is it that you are a business guy, first off? How is it that you have multiple companies that you run? How are you a dad? How are you a husband? How are you a brother? How are you a son? How are you a cousin? Whatever the case may be. How do you do all these different things on a daily basis? It's faith. It's intention. It's purpose. And when the next person look at me and say, well, man, Falk actually hired you to come down and speak? Yeah, because I've been working. I haven't just been posting blindly. I haven't just been traveling blindly. If I leave my family, it's for an intention. So it's for a purpose. And yeah, man, I can't agree with you enough, brother. I can't, man. I can't.
Yeah, you know, and it is, and that's what I said. So I said to my mom, I was like, you know, the same things that people wanted me to quit because of are the reasons why I have the reputation I have. So it's like, you know, I can't help the fact, you know, like, I not in a million years would ever think, like, why are you pissed? It's like, I'm sitting in the front row asking questions, making myself known, and that's pissing you off? Why is it pissing you off? Am I hurting the curve of the room? You know what I mean? So, like, if I want an A+ every day and you can't make it on a C, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Absolutely.
You know, and you're sitting there like, so you know what I mean? Like, but I look on it now, and over 18 years, and especially like the last 10 with college football and whatnot, like, if I go to Florida, if I go to Texas, if I go to, like, really anywhere on the East Coast, if I go to, you know, different places in the Midwest, in West Coast, whatever. Like, if I went to Houston today, they're like, oh yeah, Dan Tortora, you talked to Dana Holgerson, and that's there, you know, like when a coaching vacancy opens up, I know 5 good coaches to hire because I've been talking to them. You know, Matt Rule, when he was at Temple, and then he went to Baylor, and now he's with the Carolina Panthers. Like, I find myself on almost a daily basis when somebody mentions someone, I'm like, oh, I interviewed him. Oh, I talked to him. Oh, I talked, you know, I was around her back when she did this, and this, and, you know, my world is so tiny, and it's getting smaller, and I love that. And, you know, when you do things with God, and you work hard, and you work smart, which I learned how to do, like, faith, determination, love, self-respect, 100%. Self-worth, like, you're not going to fail.
No.
You know, you're not going to fail, because people talk about, oh, well, you know, if you fail this or you fail that, I'm like, I never think that I've ever failed in business, because everything that I've done has gotten me to where I am today. Absolutely. So I don't look at anything as a failure. I look at it as, when have I ever not tried to spread a good message? When have I not told the truth? When have I not tried to bring people together? When have I not been about equality and the absence of racism, of prejudice, of sexism? Like, everything I stood for forever is still here.
100%.
So now when somebody says, hey, let's talk about this because the world needs to know, or let's talk about faith, let's talk about God, let's talk about equality, I'm not sitting here scrambling going, oh, I need to try to look like I care. I do care. And the thing that I've learned about people is I kind of know from the beginning when I shake hands with somebody, if I want to work with you, if I want to deal with you. Absolutely. I know the people that I'm going to be hanging with in 10 years. Absolutely. And I know the people I don't want to hang with for 10 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you can see it in the white of their eyes, man. You can see in someone's eyes if they are actually genuine on why they do things. And listen, it's okay. Everybody is not for you. Everybody is not going to work with you and be there for the long run. But like you just mentioned, right, it's about talking about all those different things that makes not you complex, but make you so versatile in a sense where you can impact all those different areas because you care. And for me personally, I don't even do a lot of these type of interviews unless it's with things I care about, right? I don't even have these kind of conversations. And that's where we have to protect our integrity in this world, is having conversations with integrity, having conversations about faith. I get a lot of questions asked because I cross all different races. I cross all different ethnicities. I cross all different religions. I cross all different people with political views. It doesn't matter to me. The number one defining moment to me is people. That's it. And we're all people at the end of the day. So like, why not say, hey, let me learn about you. Let me understand you. And if you don't want to open up and submit that at that end, then you know what? It's not worth it. I'll continue pushing on and adding value elsewhere. But I'm going to always continue to push people, you know?
Yeah, you know, and I think we have to. And bringing that all together here with Big Lou Alexander, Syracuse and NFL offensive lineman, alum, also creator and owner of Big Ass Jogger, Big A88 Jogger, myself, Dan Tortora of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, which you're watching live worldwide on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. A few more things to get into. Your time at Syracuse, what did it teach you? What did you learn as a player for the Orange? What are your biggest takeaways?
Man, a lot, man. I couldn't even, it'll probably take me years to put it all in one, but I think just to sum it up into everything is, it taught me accountability. I was here 3,000 miles away from my family. I come from LA, Los Angeles, California. Is everything. Accountability for your community and how you impact your community is everything. And also pay it forward after you actually leave, because they gave me a brilliant and an amazing opportunity. So it taught me a lot, man. Syracuse taught me a ton, and I pay a lot of my success today to Syracuse University, man.
Yeah, you know, and it's awesome to come full circle and to do everything you did at Syracuse, and then to come back and have the college invite you back, to have the 100%. University say, we want you here.
100%.
You know, and what is that aha moment for you, and what was that feeling like to come here? You chose Syracuse way back in the day to be a student athlete, and now you leave, you start your own business, and then Syracuse chooses you to come back and speak. You chose them, now they chose you. What's it like to have your school choose you?
It's funny because my wife and I was just talking about this